Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Paint Table. This is my weekly show about what I got done, what I'm working on, and what is coming up. So this week, I finished off a fleet for an out-of-production game called Dystopian Wars. That's currently in a beta for a 3rd edition by Warcradle Studios. And I also finished the next installment of my Caledonians to take them up to 200 points for the ITS Infinity League I'm running at Battle Line Tabletop Gaming here in St. Catharines, which included a few of my favorite models from Caledonians. So I got that stuff. I got some stuff coming up. Painting the Dystopian Wars boats got me excited to get some paint on my Wild West Exodus stuff that I've been sitting on for a while. I'm going to push Owen to get his painted too, so we can give that a go. I got my James gang. I got some more stuff to finish up for Aristea. I also got some of my Aristea stuff painted this week. And I have, of course, my next installment for the ITS Infinity League. So let's see what got done and what is coming up. So here's what I got done. First things first, I have had this Britannia, now the Crown, starter set for Dystopian Wars for probably 8 years. And it sat in a box. I had friends, I moved out of Toronto to Memphis in, I think, 2010. And Dystopian Wars was just kind of like kicking off, and my friends back in Toronto got really into it. And so I grabbed a starter with like the intention that when I was back I'd get to play some games, and it just kind of never panned out that we got together and played. So I sat on this forever, and then on Sunday, last Sunday, my buddy Greg was like, hey, there's a thing of rules. There's some new rules to try out for this game that you never tried and that I love. And so do you want to try it out this week? And I was like, okay, sure. So I painted these guys up. So I have a ruler class battleship. It's kind of battle cruiser sized in the new incarnation of the rules, because there's a bigger battleship that would be an actual battleship now. So he's all painted up. I think I'm going to call him the Acheron. And then we have the Furies, which are my 3 tribal class cruisers, which are still just cruiser size basically. And then I've got some attacker frigates, these little guys right here. And I painted them with my airbrush. I primed them all chocolate, like Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch chocolate brown, and then airbrushed them with progressively lighter shades of gray, just to give them some sort of texture. And then did some the metallics, some washes, a few highlights, and then just details like the little little Union Jacks and the numbers and stuff. I have 2 Doncaster bombers, which are sort of gyros, like capital ship sized gyros, which makes them medium ships. They fly around and drop bombs and shoot rockets and are generally pretty cool. Doncaster being the joke version of Lancaster. If you're not familiar with this universe, the Dystopian Wars / Wild West Exodus universe, basically there's an alien crash in Antarctica, and the scientists that find that technology rush, basically around the turn of the century, a huge industrial revolution that includes like nuclear power and quantum physics and dimensional travel and like all kinds of stuff. And they become the Enlightened of Antarctica, so the Covenant of the Enlightened of Antarctica or whatever, and they're like one of the main factions. But it's basically a turn-of-the-century era politics, or like sort of global stage. So you've got like the French, you've got the Antarctic Covenant now. There's like a burgeoning sort of like American Empire, French, Prussians. It's really super cool, a lot of fun. I love boat games, and I played a couple games this week. I also painted my flyers, my SRS, which aren't really necessary in the new rules. You can still use them, but there's like a new token stacking mechanic. But I just want to paint them because I had them and they were cool. And this was well more than enough to play. This was like way more than 1,000 points, so I could easily play a 1,000 points game with this, including upgrades and stuff. And it's been a cool week for boat games, actually. I'm really stoked for this Oak and Iron game that Fireforge is doing. It's another like 1/600th scale, but this is like Age of Sail Pirates, and it looks super cool. So I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to grab or build up some more boat training, because Greg and I are pretty stoked about this. You'll see a game next week of this being played on Thursday, because it's a funny game right now, because it doesn't actually, it's a TBT game, and that's mostly because it's currently not in production. So I threw it on Thursday, but of course when the game gets relaunched and stuff, I'll probably be doing it on a different day, and I'll keep track of kind of the progress of the new rules. Then I finished up my current installment for my Caledonians. So I painted Will Wallace, as he is of course essential to playing Caledonians, a volunteer paramedic, and a gray HMG. I went with the not sword carrying gray HMG because my Type 2 rifle already is like wielding a giant sword. And I figured I didn't need every one of my Caledonians to be wielding a giant sword. And it would just encourage me to get into more stupid melees in Infinity, which is of course never a good idea. And then I have my Covert Ops Usha with 2 assault pistols. I finished up 2 new models from Smoke and Mirrors for Aristay. I finished up Murtair, who's like the young dog face, who's super cool. He's almost a giant wolver. And I'd be tempted to get another one of these to use in Infinity. He is just a super cool Lion-O jump fight murder model. And then I finished Inquisitor Mendoza with his Vulcan shotgun and just throwing fire cannons and everywhere. He's a super fun model to paint. These are the new plastics from that set. I got the other 2 to finish up as well. And so here's my stuff that's coming up. So first of all, 2 more of my Aristaminis from Smoke and Mirrors. And they are going to get painted up. And of course, these are their bases right here too that I've done some green stuff rolling onto. And then with my airbrush to finish up. I'm going to rebase Isabel McGregor, and I'm probably going to touch up her paint job too. She was painted ages ago to go with my vanilla Ariadne army. I'm going to just touch her up to make her match the rest of my Caledonians. So we have straight to Caledonia Isabel. And then for my 250 point list, I'm going to add McMurrow and a Cameronian, I think, to my my ability of, or my all regular Will Walrus led army of Caledonians that are going to bring the chain rifles and the super jumping murder, which will be exciting. It's going to be a fun week next week for whoever I have to play. And then finally, my Outlaws for Wild West Exodus. I'm going to try and get some paint on these guys. I have the James Gang with Jesse and Frank James, and then an Outrider and some canines. We got some attack canines and some canine gunners to get done up on their crazy bases. And then last but not least, we have some 3D printed spiders that Mike from Epic Duck Studios put together for me, which I need to paint up for my Rangers of Shadowdeep campaign I'm going to be running. My solo campaign and occasional co-opness that we'll have for this new co-op / solo play game that's coming from Joseph McCullough of Frostgrave that runs on the Frostgrave engine. So lots of new exciting things coming up next week. Stay tuned next Saturday and you'll get to see what I'm working on. So there you go, another On the Paint Table on the books. You can tune in tomorrow for another Widgets and Wonders, where we're going to check out a new gaming mat from Deep Cut Studios. So we'll see you on Saturday next week to see what I got finished from this next pile of projects as we go through our endless and continuing lots of things. A list of things need to get painted. Till next time, I'm Ash. Up and running. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.